This has been a really challenging crossing for us. For motoring and sailing, we were only averaging about 4.5 knots.
Welcome to the story of 3 sailors taking the long way home to Australia on a 38-foot boat called Finding Avalon.
The sea of love.
Last week you joined us in Panama and met our new crew member Alexa.
We've got a whole team on the operation.
After a hard couple of weeks preparing for the 4,000 nautical mile journey that lay ahead of us, we set the sails and headed in the direction of the Galapagos Islands.
Do you remember when we met?
As we travelled against the Panama current, we had already started to notice the abundance of nature in the area. Ocean currents tend to carry all manner of life forms with them, and thus all sorts of creatures are beckoned to feast in the nutrient-rich water. The bioluminescence was the brightest we've ever seen. Avalon looked like she was spewing glitter. It wasn't long before we managed to benefit from the surge of life in the water.
Oh, he's huge. Yeah. So I got the leader, then... Yummy!
That's amazing.
I caught in my first fish!
Well done.
Ceviche.
You want to try to make sure you bleed your fish as quickly as possible. Just keeps it fresh and will stop it going off.
I think he's good now. What do you think? Oh, beautiful boy.
Alexa whipped up enough ceviche to last us for the rest of the crossing. Unfortunately, not all critters riding with us were welcome.
Oh, hello. Oh. That's bad. A couple of situations on this boat today. Well, this week. So first of all, there's been an ungodly stench coming from in here, and we haven't really been able to identify what it is. And on this lovely starboard tack, I took it upon myself to clean the cupboard out, and there was a rogue cracked egg that we hadn't found, so he was just stinking out the entire box, and I wish you could scratch and sniff this right now. It's so disgusting. So that's gone. The other issue is fruit flies. We've had a few of the buggers circling around this week, and that would be annoying normally, but it's catastrophic at the moment because if they find a fruit fly on your boat in the Galapagos, I can see one right now, you're not allowed in. So we're kind of freaking out. Like, as it stands, we will not be allowed in the Galapagos. There's hundreds of them. So just gonna have to move all the fruits from the hammock and the crate into the fridge. That's gonna make life suck because going in the fridge was bad enough as it is. And then basically we're just going to clean the entire boat top to tail in this lovely rolly sea. We should arrive in the Galapagos tomorrow at lunchtime, so we've got about 24 hours to accomplish this. Are you on, Alexa?
Uh-huh.
Let's go. Have I got a story for you. So we spent the entire morning cleaning the
boat basically every nook and every cranny to get all the potential fly juice out the way, so that the flies are less attracted to the boat. Seems to have done the job. We haven't seen that many of the buggers around, and I did double check with the Galapagos agent, and he said that if they find one fly, go away! If they find one fly, they're not really going to persecute you for it, so all good. But then while we were doing that, we had the windows open just to get a bit of fresh air and just kind of usher the flies out, and a bloody wave came hurtling through our bedroom window and the saloon window, so we had another thing to deal with there, hence the flapping bed sheets everywhere. And we're very close to the equator now, so Alexa's down there making some margaritas so that they're cold for approximately late afternoon today, when we shall be consuming them in celebration of transiting over the equator. Other thing of note to tell you, we've had a booby accompanying us for the last 3 days. He's very cute. He seems to just feel like he knows that we're going in the same direction he wants to go in, and he's hitched a ride. He's tapped out of his little migration, so he slept up there last night, which was really nice to have some company.
In 8 miles.
We're going over the equator in 8 miles apparently. Yeah, we need to get those chilled. Yeah, so we've had a little booby, a brown booby, riding up with us, which has been lovely. So there's 4 of us. You on watch?
We're doing like 1.5 lime juice and Cointreau to 3 parts Herradura tequila.
Bringing out the big stuff, the good stuff.
So far that's how much we've got. It's going to be a strong margarita.
You don't margarita by halves, do you?
Nah, never.
Do you even margarita?
Do you even margarita?
That's a little ball. Yeah.
And that's it. We are in the southern hemisphere. We just crossed the equator. Crossed the equator.
Yeah.
0, 0, 0, 0.
Oh my god, no! Oh.
Your one job, Xanthe.
I said hold those, I'm gonna put the camera on.
Cheers.
Cheers to the south. Equator, take 2.
Equator, take 1. Equator to fuck up.
Here's to a better hemisphere.
How about
A
it?
hemisphere with more luck.
On day 8 of our crossing now, we are 70 miles from the Galapagos. This has been a really challenging crossing for us. It's our second longest crossing the first being the Atlantic. So yeah, we knew leaving Panama that our weather window wasn't ideal for sailing. The 10-day forecast basically didn't show any wind coming out of Panama for at least 300 miles. So we knew that up front, that we were probably going to have to motor quite a bit to finally get into some stable wind. So we motored for the first 3 days. So in regards to fuel, we have a total of about 260 litres of fuel, which means about 130 hours of motoring. If you just took a nice contingency and rounded that down to 100 hours, because you're going to be hard pressed to access all that fuel in your tank, I would say we comfortably have around about 100 hours of motoring, which is about 4 days. So we motored for the first 3 days. We used all our jerry can supply of fuel, and we got about 3/4 of a tank left. So look, I mean, we've got at least another day of fuel, but keep in mind that we've got a motor for about 2 or 3 hours a day while on these passages to charge up the batteries. And yeah, who knows what could happen in the following 5 days. So after 3 days, we basically all said, you know, we've got to stop running the engine, even if it means that we bob about for a day. Thankfully, the winds came just at the right time. On the fourth night, sorry. Yeah, we had basically said 6 a.m. that morning that we were going to stop motoring, and about 1 a.m. we started getting some breeze. Look, the breeze was quite squally. The first 3 days was a lot of cloud, a lot of little thunderstorms, a lot of lightning in the distance. So the first bit of breeze we got was quite squally, unpredictable. I think we tacked about 5 times, just trying to stay on course. So we've been on port tack for about 5 days. The last 3 days of that have actually been quite nice, quite comfortable. I mean, the boat's on a permanent heel, which is tiring. But yeah, look, we've had a consistent 8 to 10 knots. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's enough to get Avalon going 5 to 6 knots. And we make about 100 to 120 miles a day, which is okay for us. The other thing that we've sort of realized was the beginning of this trip, we were actually heading into about 2 knots of current, I'd say, 1.5 to 2 knots of current, which really slowed progress for motoring and sailing. We were only averaging about 4.5 knots. The last 2 days we've had the opposite. We've had 2 knots of current with us, taking us to Galapagos. So yeah, in 10 knots of breeze, we're really comfortably sitting on 6.5 knots just because of the current. I know that's a lot of weather info, but to summarize, we motored for the first 3 days. We then sailed for 2 days in unpredictable weather, battling with what's up, Xanthe? What is so interesting?
The fishing line's going.
It is going, or it's not?
I don't know, I just saw the fish.
Turns out I was right about the fish. So we landed an albacore tuna. He wasn't a great size, but because he'd been dragged along for so long without anyone realising, he had got rather ravaged by the lure, so he became sashimi that night. Thanks for watching that episode all the way to the end, you legend. If you liked it and it gave you a smile, then hit the thumbs up button, because that really helps us. If you didn't know that, that really helps us with algorithms and all that stuff. And leave a comment and subscribe. That should cover all bases.
If you tuned in last week, you may remember that we're running a competition for our patrons to join us on board Avalon in the very near future. We've got 2 weeks to go until we draw our name out of the hat for hopefully the first of many. So if this is something that interests you and you'd like to know all the benefits of Patreon and bonus content that we provide, then click the link below and consider supporting this journey.
Join the Patreon family. Why don't you? Alright, see you next week as we explore more of the Galapagos Islands. Ciao for now.
The first time that it was a big bad dog. He don't share the war. I want some more.
This has been on our list forever.